Natania Reuben, happy to have you on the platform.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Yes, indeed. So before we get into your story, introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, I'm Natania Reuben. I am a mother. I am a widow. God rest my husband's soul. I am a lover of art. I have a reupholstery business. I'm a life insurance agent. I am a woman of many things. I call myself a Renaissance woman. I do many things. I have lots of skills and gifts, and I'm thankful to the Most High for them all. I'm also a victim survivor. I like to call myself a survivor. I was a victim of a shooting that night in the club, December 27th, 1999, shot in the face by Sean Puffy Combs. I was an innocent bystander. There's this notion online, what you did to make him shoot you? Nothing. But not that I or anybody deserved it. I was an innocent bystander, but I am a survivor. 24-year survivor.
So with that being said, right, if you don't mind, can you give me a play-by-play of everything that took place when you got shot by Diddy at the nightclub?
Okay, I can say I was at a girlfriend's house. We hung out for the holiday. My kids were spending Christmas with my grandmother. Uh, Everybody decided, I had decided against going initially because I'd gotten saved, so I wasn't really out and about. But my girlfriends were like, come on, come on. One of our girlfriends, her name is Big Stacy. She's a party promoter in the New York City area. And I decided, I'm going to go to support Stacy because we're friends and we supported each other in our endeavors. So I went out to support her promoting her own party that was at New Year's Eve. I wasn't going to go to the New Year's Eve party, so I went ahead after Christmas and went with them to the party. We were getting dressed. I didn't really have any clothes to go out over there. Like I said, I hadn't been going out. And so I was going to go home to get clothes. And they were all saying, come on, Eb. Everybody calls me Ebony for short. Come on, Eb, don't go home. If you go home, you're not going to come back. And they were probably right. If I went all the way home to the section of Brooklyn I lived in, I wasn't going to come back. So my girlfriend said, why don't you wear one of my outfits? So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to wear your outfit. I'll go to my sister's house. Went to my sister's house, got an outfit to wear, came back because it was relatively close in the same section of Brooklyn, Crown Heights. I came back and I was getting myself together to go. They had already complained that I was taking too long. I took too long. So they were already moving out of the door down to the car. In my foray towards the front door, I was putting my earring in, and my girlfriend Kelly, whose house we were at, had a big Rottweiler named Brick. Brick jumps up, stands fully tall, and puts his feet on my back, on my shoulder, and it knocks my earring out of my hand. The earring falls, goes under the fish tank that broke earlier that week. And so there were still little pieces of glass under there. So when I went to get my earring, cut my finger. Just all these little things trying to stop me from going out of the door. I go clean my finger, I get the piece of glass out, I clean it, I wrap it, put on a Band-Aid, put my earring in. As I reach the threshold, they're blowing the horn, telling me to hurry up. I step 1 foot across the threshold and a voice says, go change your shoes. Now, I knew it was God. God talks to me all the time. So I was like, if I change my shoes, I have to change all of my accessories. And God just repeated, go change your shoes. Now, I'm a stiletto girl. I would stand up in my beauty salon in stilettos for hours and hours on end. This particular day, I had on short ankle boots. I'm not a flats kind of girl. I don't really wear flats. Well, now I do. But back then I did not. Those boots that I had on were flats. The heel was probably just about this big, and they were ankle boots, some snakeskin ankle boots. And I went back and I changed the boots. The boots I changed into, I had just bought them a month earlier around Thanksgiving from Bloomingdale's. And there's a story behind it. But what I had a girlfriend named Pat, whose sons were like the neighborhood guys that watch your back and all of that and kind of they're on the block. She asked me for a favor. I did her hair. She came back and paid me at a later date and gave me a gift card to Bloomingdale's. I took that that gift card, went to the store, bought these boots. So this is bigger than just change your boots. It was an act of faith and an act of love for a friend that was repaid to me. I took that act of love that was repaid, went and bought a pair of boots, and those boots saved my life. I put those boots back. I went and put those boots on. which had a heel on them, went down to the car. We went off to the club. They were complaining, you took so long, you're taking so long, we were going to leave you. We laughed it off. We got to the club. We pull up to the block, and there are 2 ambulances at the front of the block as you turn the corner, halfway in the street and halfway on the sidewalk on each side, narrowing the stream of traffic to 1 lane. And I instantly said, 2 ambulances? Are they expecting somebody to die? What is this? Because I had never, ever seen that at a club or at this club. And it just stood out as so weird to me. My friends were like, I had just gotten saved. So they were like, oh, come on, hallelujah. Don't start with all that. You know, making their jokes. You know how it is. I'm from New York. We got thick skin. I'm not bothered by it. But it stood out to me instantly. It was a very cold day. So when we got to the front of the club, there were lots of people outside. And anyone who's familiar with the club scene knows, especially a club that's considered popping, they're always going to leave some degree of a line outside so that the additional people who arrive think, oh, wow, look at all these people. It must really be jumping. It's just a whole marketing thing for the nightclub scene. It's what they do. So there were tons of people outside. We pulled up to we got out, we went in front of the club, and so many people. I can say that I was relatively popular and I knew so many people out there. And everybody kept saying, Ab, what you doing here? I thought you was in the church. I thought what you coming to preach a sermon? You know, people were making jokes and stuff like that. And I thought it was funny. We laughed. And I was like, no, I'm just out here chilling, helping Stacy promote. And everybody kept calling my name. People were because people had kind of steered away from me for a while. You know how it is when you first get saved and you swing the pendulum all the way to the far left. Now, everybody that comes in your presence, you're like, let me lay hands on you, girl. The Father God told me to tell you this. And everybody was like, stay clear of Eb. She got the Holy Ghost in her. Steer clear of her. So eventually you kind of swing your pendulum back and settle somewhere in the middle that's comfortable. But at that time, like I said, I was freshly saved. So I was a holy roller. But in being a friend, I'm loyal. I promised Stacy that I would be there for her. And so I was. Instantly when I walked in, I felt, well, let me back that up. So the owner of the club, he has like brothers or something. They all look alike. There's this group of people, the Burgos family. They all look alike. He came to the door and said, how many are you guys? How many's with you, Stacy? She counted us out and we all went in. So they made us come in. When I was approaching the security guard, this particular one security guard, a female security named Sharice Myers, who was found out that she lied and committed fraud and all this stuff. When I was walking in, she checked my bag and she's like, you can't bring this in here. This is a weapon. It was a comb, a hair comb, a rat tail comb. She made such a big to-do about this comb, took it out of my bag, yet you allow 4 people or 3 people to come in with guns. Like, make it make sense. So we get in the club. She takes my comb. She makes this big scene. We get in the club and I'm really, the entire time I'm in this frame of mind, like, why did I come? Why did I come? So everybody, it's active. It's, as they say, the club was jumping and everybody's trying to, they see people they know and everybody's heading off somewhere. So I was like the designated driver homegirl. I just held a little corner in the front. I didn't go deep into the club because I wasn't in a party state of mind. I didn't feel like I should have been there. And I just held my little corner across from the bar. I stood in this little area by this half a metal wrought iron gate. And I just stood there. My friends would go off, do their thing, come back and check on me. You good, Eb? You want something to drink? You good? I just was like, oh, I'm good. Y'all go ahead. I was only in the club an hour and 15 minutes before I got shot. While I was standing there, right across from me at the other side, which is where the bar was, I saw Scar, Matthew Allen, the guy that Puffy got into the fight with, that caused this whole melee to take place. I knew Scar. Scar's mother lived across the street from one of my beauty salons. I've known Scar from the street. I've known him for years, and we were cool. So he's like, hey, what you doing in here? Because he knew I got saved too. And so he's like, uh-oh, praise the Lord, you up in here? What you doing in here? Everybody was shocked to see me there because they all knew that's how 10 toes down I am. Wherever I'm doing, everyone is going to know. It's not a secret for me. And so because everybody knew I got saved and I was not out at clubs and stuff like that, it was clear, what you doing here? And so I was like, oh, Stacy's promoting her stuff and I'm just out here with her promoting, supporting her, and that's it. He said, what you drinking? Let me get you a drink. I said, I'm not drinking. So I said, I'll take a juice. So he ended up getting me a juice. He even laughed, like, you got me ordering juice? I said, I'm not drinking. And that's the thing about me as well. When I say what I say, people respect my decisions, just like I respect theirs. If I'm not participating in an activity, no one can make me do it. It just so happens I drank my juice. I was standing on the side. One of my girlfriends came to me eventually and said, I want to go to the restroom. And so I walked with her to the restroom. We went down, we descended the staircase, which was right beside where I was standing, and we went around the perimeter. Because if you know a club, it's all thick and congested in the middle, and I don't want to be brushing against people and all that stuff. So we walked the perimeter, the outer perimeter of the club, and we went to the bathroom. As I got down there walking, you could see that the club was really like packed. There were tons of people there. And so I was like, wow, it's really, crowded in here. You could kind of see who and who was in the club. So we went to the bathroom. I went right back to my spot. In no time, a bunch of people start ascending up the staircase from the dance floor and coming into what would be the corridor between where I was standing on one side and where the bar was and a bunch of other people were standing, where Scar was standing. That walkway led to the front door. And whenever celebrities or someone notable is making their way through the club, you know how it is. They have the main people, they have the entourage, their security or whatever, the hangers on, and everybody who wants to be adjacent to them. And so that's what happened. All those people trying to be adjacent, like, oh, where they going? Let me walk where they walking. Jumped on too. So it was it swole. That little walkway swole with people. As they were ascending the stairs, Shine song was on, it was going off, and Black Rob's song, Whoa, was coming on. So that little intro, like that instrumentation. And so people were like, it was a current song at the time. It was popping. People were feeling themselves and they started, posturing and bravado and everybody was hyped. As they came through with that kind of mentality, they bumped into Scar's back. Now, Scar's back was to the walkway, so he couldn't see who was coming. He was facing the bar. His back was to the walkway. As they came through, they pushed him and his drink went in his face. So like anybody, if somebody pushes you from the back, he elbowed back, like, get off of me. When he elbowed back, they tried to push. And so it made the whole crowd start swaying. And that's when they got into this whole interaction, like, yo, he apparently, I don't know all the details in that, but I know, I didn't know them firsthand at the time. I do know them now. He tried to say something to him or whatever. And then they said whatever they said. And then one of the guys that was with Scar, apparently Puffy gestured in some type of way that they didn't like. And one of the guys that was with Scar slapped him in the face with a wad of money. It was like the young guys are now on, doing that little phone brick thing. Well, he had this wad of money in his hand for whatever reason, because I wasn't standing near them. I was across. But all I know is I saw when he swung and slapped and money was raining through the sky and falling to the floor. Everybody started trying to run and pick up money, and it was just craziness. It was lights, action, camera, people scurrying for money, trying to catch money out of the sky, and that melee was still taking place. Now, when I saw that, I turned around to my friend and I was like, uh-oh, shit is getting crazy in here. You see this? And never in a million years did I think it would escalate to a shooting. I thought it was male bravado. It was cold as ice outside, so I had no reason to believe it would get to that. But in no time, one thing led to another. The money was falling down, and then I see Shine. I hear the raised voices, and I see Shine and Puffy start backing back. Now, we don't all watch the Hood movie or whatever. We know what it looks like when people are backing back and reaching from their hip to pull. So as they were backing back, they were drawing from their hip. And I turned to tell my friend, like, ooh, girl, watch out. Oh, my God. Because there was really nowhere for me to go. Where I was standing, there was a wrought iron metal rail to my back. I couldn't go. There was a drop over that. In fact, one of my friends fell over it onto the dance floor after everything happened. There was nowhere for me to go. And so as they were going back, they were backing back, like literally walking backwards towards the door, drawing from their hip. I told my friend, I said, oh my God, watch out. As I turned back to look at them, I watched them bow, bow. Both of them fired, and the muzzle flash was like, psh, psh. Shine's muzzle flash was a little higher. He was on the side closest to the bar. Puffy's muzzle flash was a little lower, and he was on the side closest to where I was, straight ahead from me. I watched them both fire their guns. I watched them. I got hit right here in my nose, in between my eyes, which means I'm facing directly at you. Just like I'm looking at you, and I can tell you got on black shades. They kind of look like Cazelles and an Adidas shirt. That's exactly how I was looking at him. And I watched him shoot me. So, not to digress, it always bugs me when people say, how can you be sure? The same way you're sure when your man is lying to you, or when your woman is lying to you, or the same way you're sure when you ask your kids a question and they do that little thing they do when they're not being honest and you know they're telling a story. I'm that sure. We know people that we love. We know people's tells or body language or whatever. The same way you're sure that I have on a green shirt, I'm certain that he shot me. Now, was he aiming at me? Was I the object of his fire? Absolutely not. I should not have been, because I didn't do anything to him. But is that what resulted? Absolutely, because I see a lot of people online get stuck on that. Oh, well, why would he shoot you? What did you do? Did you owe him money? And I'm like, class, pay attention. Bullets don't have names, and they don't have predetermined destinations. Once they come out of the gun, they're going to go wherever they go. And that's the thing about crime and shooting people. You cannot guarantee that what you're aiming at is what you're going to hit, because you might be a thug, but it doesn't mean you have good aim. You might be a criminal, but it doesn't mean you have good aim. And that is exactly how I sit here today, because some thug criminal with an attitude and a ego that was outside of control decided he was going to fire a gun in a crowded nightclub and shot me in my face. By the grace of God, I am here. The first thing I said when the bullet hit me, and listen, when right before the muzzle flash went off, when I had turned back to look, I heard God's voice say, relax, you are about to get hit, calm down. And when I screamed, no, pop, pop, and it hit me dead in my face. And I never passed out. I never fell. I never cried. Everybody started running. And just like when you watch a TV show or a movie and there's one person standing in spot and everybody else is moving in fast motion and that one person is just in that spot, whatever they do looks a little slower, but everybody else is moving fast. That's exactly what it was like. Everybody was running, trying to get places. It was chaos. It was chaos. When that door, the first few people ran out of the door flew open. And remember, I was in that line sight, straight from the staircase, straight towards the front door. As soon as the bullet hit me, I threw my hands up and screamed out, no, God, don't take me. I'm not finished raising my kids. I have work to do. I screamed that at the top of my lungs. I said, I'm not going. Don't take me. I have work to do. I have to raise my children. And as I said that, the door flew open and I could feel that total rush of that cold December 27th morning air. It was freezing out there. And it passed right before the air. You ever watch Star Trek and they say, beam me up, Scotty? And they start to pixelate? My body started doing that. I felt my body pixelating. I didn't even feel like a solid person anymore. And as my body was pixelating, that's when the door flew open and the air rushed in. You seen a loosely knit sweater or like the mesh net shirts that Jamaican men wear, the dreadlocks, the Rastafarians wear, that little mesh t-shirt? That's how I felt. I could feel the cold air from the front door rush through me, pass through me, go into the front of me and pass out the back of me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. Because I had never felt that sensation. I've always felt like a full, solid woman that I am. I felt the air come to my front, pass through my flesh, and come out the back. So all I could think was, this is what death feels like. I feel like I'm separating. My pieces are separating and I'm dying. And that is what I thought. Now, I don't know what to call that frame of mind. I was conscious. I was fully aware. I looked to the side and I saw this guy laying on the floor under the lip of the bar. And I said, oh my God, he died. And I stood there and prayed for him because my mentality was, he got shot in this. We had shared this situation. He got shot and I got shot. I thought I was dying and I already thought he was dead. So I didn't want him to face God without being saved. And so I stopped and I prayed for him. I prayed the blood of Jesus over him. And I prayed for his family and I prayed for the entire situation. And it was, I can't say that I was afraid. I can't, every time I get to this point, I just get emotional. I can't, I'm a tough cookie. And I promise you, I don't even, my mind doesn't tell me it's time to cry, but it's something, I'm a tough cookie, but this always, because I can feel it. You know, it's that whole where people say, how can you be sure? I can still feel it. I can still see it playing through my mind. Like, what's your favorite movie?
Something About Mary.
I know you know every single part about Something About Mary. When she getting ready to go like this and that hair is stuck up and what's in your hair? The same way you know every iota of that movie, I know every iota of this movie. This is the movie that plays over in my head. And it's not my favorite, far from it, but it's what plays over and over in my mind. I can't forget it.
I understand. I know it got to be hard for you to relive that incident. So when it comes to the shooting, right, from your point of view, you're sure that Diddy shot you 100%.
I'm 100%, I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure. I'm 1,000,000% sure. I'm as sure as my babies came out of my womb and out of my vagina. I'm that sure. And I got 3 of them. I know what it feels like. I'm that concrete sure. And you notice the one thing, he has never formally denied. He did that one video with that wackadoodle attorney that was looking like he was high on coke. And he was like, I did not, and he used word semantics. I did not do anything to those people in a club. I remember his video 100%, a news conference. His eye, that's why he wears shades all the time, because his eyes tell on whatever he says. Go back and look at that video. There's a slender attorney who he never used again, no less, who's sitting at the table. Oh, these people are lying. We're going to prove da 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 da. Nonsense. Nonsense. He said, I did not do anything to hurt those people at a club. Word semantics. See, I don't have the option of tuning it out and moving on with my life. It's my existence. So every single thing said, especially by him and the parties involved, sticks in my head. I already have a unique brain that absorbs everything and remembers details, finite details of obscure things that most people it would pass you and you wouldn't even remember it. I remember it all. I just have an uncanny thing. I was standing in my beauty salon one day. A guy pulled up to the front of my salon. I saw him in the car. I looked, turned my head. I said, come here. He came in the door of my beauty salon. He was like, me? I said, I know you. He said, I don't know you. I don't recognize you. I said, I was sitting in my mind for a second. I had to ponder, where do I know him from? And I said, oh, your name is Colin. And I'm sure he's somewhere out in the world. He can verify this. I said, your name is Colin. Your grandmother's name is Miss Cook. She was the cook at our daycare center. You and I used to go to Haitian American Daycare Center together when we were 4. You drank my milk one day at lunch and I punched you. You fell backwards in the chair, broke your teeth, and I got a butt whipping. When I said this, I was probably maybe 28. I hadn't seen this guy since we were 4 or 5. He said, this chipped tooth in my mouth? He looked at me and said, who are you? His tooth was still chipped. My girlfriend was like, yo, Eb is wild like that. She remembers everything. Yes, I remember everything. We were in daycare center. I was a grown woman at the time. I glimpsed him just turning my head and looking out the front window of my salon. I'm that certain. I know other people use other people's situation as the litmus test by which they judge whatever you say or do. But I am unlike most people in this world, and I'm comfortable with that. I have a very innate ability to remember things that people would not believe. I have an innate ability to remember details like you would not believe. And that is just how the good Lord wired my brain. This is who I am. I'm not going to let anybody challenge me on what I know and believe and what I know concrete that I saw. No one is going to challenge me on that. I stand vehemently and firmly, 10 toes flat on the floor, and stand by this with my life. And trust me, everybody else knew what happened too. You know how many people in the club were talking about this all around New York? Everybody knew he did it. Everybody knew he did it. If you look in the comments on all of these video blogs and podcasts that are online, you'll see people that say, oh, I was in the club that night. We knew he did it. Everybody knew he did it. So this is not just my word. They just had the power, the influence, and the money to get around town and shut people down and pay them for their silence. I personally know people who were paid for their silence. Personally. And that doesn't make me feel good, but I know they were. And here's the long and short of it. God created me also to not be a grudge holder in the world. As much as I don't like what they did, and they could have solved this a long time ago had they spoken up, they know how to look out for people who are struggling, going through, and pay them the right amount of money. You know what people's philosophy is? I'm going to take this money because I have this need today. And nobody's going to come and rescue me. Nobody's going to come and who else is going to come and say, hey, take 10,000 or take 20,000? Who else? So while I don't like that they did not speak truth to power, I don't like that they allowed a situation to persist all this time without all of the facts being on the table and them saying what they knew happened. But I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody for the actions that they make. I don't like it. And it was wrong. But the decision that they made was theirs to make, and they're going to have to face God about that decision. But as for me and mine, I'm 100% clear on it.
And you made a comment about Diddy. He was wearing all white that night, so it was easy for you to say that he had a gun on him.
Absolutely. And here's the deal. I've had people say, oh, no, I saw a picture of him in a gray coat. He rich. That's what his attorneys brought him to the station to change into. I'm telling you what he had on. I don't care what anybody else says. I know what they both had on. I'm saying it 10 toes down. People can say what they want. See, the difference is Shine, he wasn't the man. So he got caught in what he had on. They were able to get photographed after the fact in something different. And all of that was a ploy. I'm telling you what I know this man had on. And if I'm not mistaken, there are images of when they were coming to the club. There's images of paparazzi taking their picture. This ain't something I'm saying that can't be proven. But people like to use semantics like, oh, well, I saw him in a picture and he had on a this and a that. I don't care what you saw. I got shot. Just like I can't come in your house and tell you what you ate for dinner or what you did yesterday. No one's going to tell me about my existence. I walked this journey for 24 years. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, that man shot me in my face. And I watched Puffy do it.